$360,000 disappeared from this company's bottom line last year, not because of claims, but because of incentives. They were told the market's tough. They blamed inflation. They blamed the company's risk profile, and they blamed healthcare trends. Like you haven't heard that one before. But here's what they didn't show you. What if your health plan wasn't just expensive, but deliberately designed to bleed your company dry? And the people paid to protect you and protect your health plan were actually profiting off the overspend. In this video, we're going to map out who's really getting paid and why your rising costs are no accident. When you see the incentive web behind your plan, you'll never trust another renewal the same way again. Let's be clear, your health plan isn't just a benefit. It's really a financial ecosystem, and that ecosystem is structured to financially reward vendors when costs go up, not down. In most mid-market plans, the more premium you pay, the more revenue your broker, your carrier, your pharmacy benefit manager, and your stop-loss vendor generate. This isn't about bad actors. It's truly a structure problem. The system rewards volume over value, opacity over transparency, and passivity over performance. So while you're funding the entire operation, you're the only one not participating in the upside. Here's how the money actually flows. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so let's take a look at how the money's actually flowing through your plan step by step. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can read it here. Your business pays premiums, right? And where do your premiums go and whose incomes are your premiums funding is what we're going to be talking about today. So first off, as the employer, you fund the plan, you carry the risk, but you also have the least visibility into where the money's going. This is why you need a good broker on your side, because a good broker is going to help you uncover where these funds are going and how you can better control them. Most brokers are paid a commission, and that commission is typically 4 to 6% of your annual premiums. This is a completely misaligned incentive. So you want to know, is your broker being paid a commission? Because if you have $1 million spend and your broker's paid 5% commission, this year they're earning $50,000. Next year, when your premiums go up by 20% and you have a $1.2 million spend, now your broker's earning $60,000. Completely misaligned with the objectives of the company, which is controlling that cost. So first thing you want to do is you want to try and eliminate the commission arrangement with your broker. So what can you do? Well, it's going to be in your best interest if you can move to a flat fee, or what we call a consulting fee. And sometimes that comes in the form of a PEPM. So that's going to be per employee per month arrangement. And we see those vary anywhere from $35, $45, $55, $60 per employee per month. And it really depends on the complexity of your plan and how much management and input it takes from your broker. Another thing that you want to watch out for is you want to watch out for brokers who are going to be paid an override or a bonus. So overrides happen maybe when there's an agency that places a large majority of its business with a certain carrier, and when they hit a certain volume level, they start to achieve an override on the business that they place with that carrier because they've obtained a certain volume level. And this is just going to incentivize them more so to look towards that carrier as their preferred carrier. And that's not really going to have the company's best interest at hand when they're making those decisions. So you want to try and eliminate any arrangements where your broker may be earning an override. Further, bonuses. Bonuses are another one to watch out for, and you want to try and eliminate those arrangements as well. Bonuses can be in the form of retention bonuses. So this is a pretty common one. Let's say at the end of the year when everybody's renewing 1/1, a carrier may put out a retention bonus to a broker saying, hey, if you can renew 95% of your clients with us this year, we'll give you a $25,000 or a $50,000 bonus. Well, that money has to come from somewhere. And ultimately, we saw in the beginning where all the money is coming from, your premiums. So you want to try and eliminate those two arrangements and then also move away from a commission-based broker arrangement to a flat fee advisory-based broker arrangement. Next up, we're going to take a look at, well, let's jump over here to the carrier. The carrier, as we all know, is really just the middleman. They hold the money, they make the rules, they set the prices. The carriers collect admin fees, they retain underwriting margin. So a couple things that you want to look for in a carrier relationship. And I would say a couple things you want to avoid in a carrier relationship. So number one, you want to avoid a carrier-based relationship where the carrier is retaining your surplus. So if you're fully insured, they're definitely retaining any surplus. Unused claims is what surplus means. Or even if you're level funded, it's probably likely going to be a shared surplus arrangement. So you want to try to eliminate that, because that's not doing you any favors. That's when your claims are actually less than projected and there's money left over at the end of the year. And that money a lot of times is going to stay with the carrier as opposed to coming back to the plan. Another thing you want to avoid in a carrier relationship is a carrier, such as a fully insured carrier, that's going to retain your rebates on your drugs from the PBM. So you want to try and avoid that. And then finally, a big one is going to be vertical integration, margin stacking. So it's the ACA regulates fully insured plans, says that they can only keep a certain percentage of the premiums for profits. That's the medical loss ratio. For large groups, it's going to be 85-15. And in this instance, vertical integration just means that the carrier is the administrator. They own the PBM, they own the network. In other words, they're getting a triple dip on your health plan. So they're profiting from 3 different buckets on your health plan. So you want to try and avoid that. And really, honestly, the only way you can avoid that is by avoiding purchasing a carrier-based plan. So you want to avoid that at all costs. And of course, the carrier is administering your plan, so there is going to be an admin fee in there, but with most fully insured arrangements, you're not going to know what that admin fee is. And then if we kind of naturally jump over to a third-party administrator, well, they're doing the administering that a carrier would normally do in your health plan, and they're paid with an admin fee. This is totally normal, and this is what you pay to run the plan, but you want to know what you're getting in exchange for that admin fee. And that's because you want to avoid a bunch of add-on fees. So add-on fees would be hidden charges that you're not aware of that you're going to have to pay throughout the year because they weren't up front or they didn't include certain things that you're going to need throughout the year in your admin fee. One way to really avoid having these add-on fees is to, in the beginning, before you sign the contract, thoroughly read through that contract, understand what the cost of administration is for your plan, and also it's within your right to ask what's included in that cost of administration. Are you going to have to pay extra for reporting? Are you going to have to pay extra for compliance? Are you going to have to pay extra for COBRA? These are all things you want to know in the very beginning. And then a couple other sneaky ones here that you need to look out for is RX spread. So a lot of times I've seen companies enter into a bundled arrangement where TPA says, yeah, this is our preferred PBM. And you want to know, is that TPA being compensated from the PBM? Because if there is a bundled arrangement, there's a good chance that they are possibly being compensated in some way from the PBM. So fees can get buried in the stack if you're doing a bundled arrangement. So you want to avoid that as well. And then finally, another thing you want to look out for is percentage of savings payments. So percentage of savings payments are really kind of arbitrary. And so savings from what is the question that you need to ask yourself. Because if it's savings off of billed charges can be wildly different, provider to provider, procedure to procedure. So that percentage of savings comes in when the TPA negotiates that billed charge down. And you want to know, how are they being compensated if they're actively negotiating on your behalf? But I would say you want to try to avoid percentage of savings if you can, okay? So now let's jump over to, for those of you that are level funded or self-funded, let's jump over to the stop loss carriers and PBMs. So a couple things to look out for here with your stop loss carrier. You want to know if they're paying stop loss commissions. So a lot of times stop loss carriers will pay brokers or MGUs a commission for selling their stop loss insurance. So not only are you paying a commission to your broker overall in the health plan, but there also may be a secondary commission baked in to the stop loss insurance. Here at BeneSmart, we do not take commissions on stop loss insurance, and we recommend that you choose a consultant that does not either. And then another thing you want to try to avoid is contract loopholes. Well, really, truly, the only way to avoid contract loopholes is unfortunately by reading your contract with the stop loss provider. So you want to make sure that you're not going to be on the hook for run out. You want to make sure that you have the proper stop loss provisions, and you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're on the hook for with that stop loss contract, so you're not faced with any unexpected bills that the stop loss carrier is just trying to avoid paying. Another thing to look out for is lasers. So stop loss carriers will oftentimes shift the risk back to the employer with what's called a laser. So a laser would be when they identify a high risk member and then they say, hey, into next year, we're not going to cover this high risk member. And they just shift the burden of covering those costs over to the employer. And so that leaves the stop loss carrier with their underwriting profits. That's when their revenue comes from premiums in minus claims paid, right? So that's where you want to land with your stop loss carrier or your MGU. And then last, but certainly not least, and something that is kind of all the rage right now, is trying to find ways to lower the drug spend. So PBMs are paid in a number of truly sneaky ways that you're going to want to look out for. A couple of these are going to be spread pricing and rebates. And you also have fill fees and dispensing fees. So spread pricing is when the PBM charges you one price and then they pay the pharmacy less and they keep the spread, right? Pretty simple. You want to try and avoid that at all costs. That is not going to be good for your health plan. It's not going to be good for your costs. And then rebates is simply when the PBM is retaining the rebates. They collect rebates from the drug manufacturers. These rebates are 100% yours. As the employer, they should be passed back to you. They don't always get passed back, so you want to try and avoid those rebates. So then it would be reasonable to say that a healthy relationship with your PBM would be if you were paying just a fill fee or a dispensing fee. So if you can see here, let me kind of give you guys a different visual here, and let me switch colors. What do we want to pay? Well, we want to pay a PEPM. We're okay paying underwriting profits, but not too much. We want to pay fill fees or dispensing fees. We're okay paying administrative fees, but not to our carrier. Let me back that up. We want to pay those administrative fees to a TPA, an independent TPA. So then if you can look at this is kind of crazy. In a truly transparent health plan, you can eliminate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different incentives that could potentially be eliminated from your health plan. I know it's crazy and I know it sounds like a lot, but this is where your money's going, guys, and it's important for you to understand this. All these players, like I said, they're not bad players, but this is just how the health insurance system has been structured today. Let's get back to that $360,000 renewal increase that I mentioned earlier. When we mapped out the financials on this one, here's what we found. $94,000 in total broker compensation, including undisclosed carrier bonuses, $173,000 in retained pharmacy rebates, and then the kicker, there was a 12/15 stop loss contract with no run out, which left the employer exposed to over $300,000 in claims filed after the contract period, but tied to services rendered during the plan year. This wasn't an exception, it was the default setup, and it's happening more than you know. Let's talk about how you can get started fixing this. Step 1, most important, audit your incentives. You have to know where the money's going. You have to uncover how each vendor gets paid. Transparency is the key to control in your health plan. If you can't see where your money's going, it's going to be awfully hard to fix this. Step 2 is going to be to restructure your compensation arrangements with your broker. Move to a flat fee or performance-based broker comp, ideally tied to your plan outcomes, possibly vendor accountability, or potentially even cost savings, not the size of your premiums. Step 3, renegotiate your vendor contracts. You're going to want to push for full rebate disclosure, pass-through PBM pricing, and stop-loss terms that protect you. You're going to look for no new lasers. You want to have a broad definition of covered claims, You want to make sure you have adequate runout on your policy as well as terminal liability coverage. And then step 4 is start to build a smarter structure around your health plan. Talking about your financing structure. So whether that's utilizing a captive to increase your buying power on your stop loss, or going to market and working with different MGUs to find the right contract for a stop loss carrier. Once you figure out how to handle your fixed costs, you can also start to improve your variable costs. So whether that's direct contracts, or maybe you're going to look at reference-based pricing or direct primary care. These aren't buzzwords, they're control levers that put you back in the driver's seat and help you start to lower some of your costs and reap some of the rewards. Bottom line here is you can't fix what you don't understand. This incentive map gives you clarity and leverage. Here's the truth, your health plan's not broken. It's operating exactly the way the system was designed. This system bakes profits into your health plan without you ever knowing. Our incentive map helps you expose the financial structure behind your plan so you can make aligned, data-driven decisions moving forward. Every day you delay diving into the details, you're potentially leaving thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. Our incentive map has covered hidden costs and misaligned incentives in countless health plans. Book your cost containment consult today, and let's discover how we can help you realign your health plan for maximum efficiency and savings. If you want a copy of the map that we shared today without all my scribbles on it, comment or DM the words incentive map and I'll send you a copy. My name's Rich, I'm with Benesmart, and we help companies like yours take control of their healthcare budget without cutting benefits. Let's fix the structure and align the incentives together.